Good morning, and thank you for being here today. We are gathered on the territory of the signatories of Treaty 6, and I acknowledge the Métis people who share a deep connection to this land. I am joined today by Marie Maude Peddle and her two kids, Eli and Anna. I'm excited today to introduce Bill 208, the Psycho-Educational Assessment Access Act. When people ask me why I decided to run to be an MLA, this is the reason. Our kids' education is my first answer. Far too many kids are falling behind their classmates simply because they are not receiving a psychoeducational assessment at the appropriate time, if they even get one at all. A psycho-ed is typically requested by a teacher or a parent who is noticing that their child is struggling at school, whether that be behaviorally or intellectually. It entails a series of one-on-one sessions with a psychologist and helps identify how a child learns best. It can lead to certain diagnoses, like a learning disability such as dyslexia, as well as ADHD. This helps teachers and parents create a plan to help the young student become successful at school and at home. These assessments can cost $3,000 to $5,000 per student if accessed privately. If a family is lucky enough to have access to extended healthcare benefits, they might be covered. For thousands of students in our schools, they must rely on assessments provided for by a school. Unfortunately, there isn't enough psychologists in the systems to meet the demand, and as a result, not every student who needs an assessment gets it. There was a recent survey of teachers, and it revealed that 53% of teachers have requested at least one assessment in the past year and a half. And they didn't expect their children, and those don't expect the child in question will get one by the end of this school term. Parents who are able to access private assessments typically have a 6-week wait, while those who are in the queue at school can wait up to 2 years. And some, they may not even get one at all. If a student struggles for 2 years, they begin to lose their passion for learning, and we need to protect it. When a child doesn't feel like they are capable, they begin to avoid. They avoid subjects, tasks that are difficult. They might start to avoid friends and family and avoid school altogether. Far too often, those children find the acceptance they crave in a situation that are troublesome. This new bill would be the first step to addressing the barriers for students and families facing the access to vital psychological assessments here in Alberta. It will also examine the funding structures at the classroom level, which are critical to ensuring that students have access to the support that they need on an ongoing basis to accommodate their personal learning needs. Practically, the bill would create a school psychological service committee whose task it would be to first review all the legislation and policies surrounding psychoeducational assessments for students. They would also look at barriers students currently face in accessing psycho-eds, the financial barriers to accessing these assessments, the biases in identifying students who need psycho-eds. Finally, they would consider the financial support that goes toward complex classrooms. Within a year, the committee would produce a report with recommendations to the Minister of Education. The minister then would have 1 year to introduce legislation that will address the recommendations of the committee. To give you an idea of why this bill is important, I'd like to introduce Marie Maude Peddle to share her own story.
Hello, thank you for inviting me to add my support to a bill that I am passionate about. My husband and I adopted our 2 children when they were 3 and 4 years old. Soon after we realized that they were struggling with learning disabilities and social skills. Things got worse when they started kindergarten. After being told that our wait time will be years to have them assessed by the school, my husband and I decided to have them assessed privately at the cost of $5,000 for each child. The results showed that they both suffered from ADHD. After their struggle continued, we decided a few years later to get our children tested for other issues in order to get a complete picture of their learning needs. Getting this diagnosis was critical for their education. With it came the support, the understanding of their teachers and their friends, and the funding that our kids needed to succeed in school. My kids are now happy to be at school. They are able to advocate for themselves. Their teachers know they need frequent breaks in order to complete their work. When resources like the psycho-ed assessments are available to children, it can make their journey through school and life more manageable. We have a responsibility as parents and as a society to provide it for them. I don't want to think about how much harder it will have been for my children if we're not able to provide the resources to they have their psycho-ed when we did. But every child, regardless of family's income, deserves the same right to have a psychoeducational assessment at the appropriate time when they need it. Thank you.
Thank you, Marie Maude. As we developed this bill, we consulted with a wide variety of parents and experts who gave us very important insights. One of them was Melanie Reeder, who is a registered psychologist at the Foothills Academy Society and the president of the Learning Disabilities Association of Alberta. She had this to say about this new bill. There is a lack of school-based psychologists available to support the number of assessments required. While some families may have the financial resources to access a private assessment, many do not. Making psychoeducational assessments accessible for students in Alberta is an investment in the future that will ultimately enhance the lives of many Albertans. Our children are valuable, and we have the responsibility to ensure that every resource that we have available to help them is there for them to thrive. Studies have shown that every dollar invested in a child's education turns into $6 contribution to our economy down the road. And that doesn't include the savings that are realized from mental health care and other costs associated with kids who have dropped out of the system. The benefit of Bill 208, the Psychoeducational Assessment Access Act, are clear, and it is my hope that it'll be supported by all the MLAs in the legislature. Thank you, and we're happy to take any question.
Okay, thanks. We're going to go to phone at *9 to get into the question queue. There'll be one question and follow up. So please state your name and outlet and who you'd like to direct your question to. We'll go first to Tim. Please go ahead.
This question's for Julia. Off the top of your head, can you point to another jurisdiction in Canada that has some similar legislation to this?
Yes, British Columbia currently has this legislation in place.
Perfect, thank you. And then, again, can you just maybe walk us through what this bill would look like? I know you mentioned the committee there again, but walk me through what the bill would look like, how long it would take to actually be in effect, and what the cost would be.
Okay, so it's a committee model that would have 10 representatives on it that would represent the school boards. There's a psychologist. There is a representative for newcomers, a representative for Indigenous peoples, as well as parents. And I think there was one other person on there that would represent communities. And they would get together for 1 year, and they would look at the financial costs. They would be looking at the needs of the schools and the students, and as well do more consultations. And then they would give their recommendations to the minister within a year. And then the hope would be that the minister would implement those recommendations over the following year. But when we talk about costs, right now in Canada, Alberta is the lowest funded for education for our students. And if we look at the fact that for every dollar invested in a student down the road in the economy, it's $6 saved, I think that this is a no-brainer and we shouldn't be leaving our children behind.
Okay, was there anything further, Tim, at all?
Yeah, I'm just going to take over the press conference.
Sure.
You mentioned off the top there, this is one of the things you were most passionate about, and why you wanted to run. Can you just talk to me a little bit about your personal connection to this, if there is one?
Yeah.
Why you just think it's so important and Albertans should care?
I'm coming at this as a parent. I'm coming this as a past school council chair. I'm coming at this as an educational assistant, and just talking with friends, other teachers and educational assistants. And I've seen children be flagged and then having to figure out how are they going to get that assessment. And if they don't have the financial insurance or to be able to do that, they may not get one. And then you start seeing behaviors. And I think that this is such a simple tool to be supporting children. And when it comes to the end of the day, I really hope that people just see that and they support it and help our children with their learning.
Okay, final opportunity. Seeing no more questions online, we can make Julia available following the introduction of the bill, which will be at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Thank you very much, and that's the end of our press conference for today.
Thank you so much for joining us today, everyone.